Welcome to our Portuguese Table podcast. I'm Maria Lawton, the Azorian Green Bean.
And I'm Angela Simoes, and we're just two chicks dishing about Portuguese food, culture, and what it means to be Portuguese.
So grab a glass of vinho or un copo de café and join us as we talk about our favorite foods, reminisce about growing up Portuguese,
and interview some of our community's most successful chefs and food writers.
So sit down at our Portuguese table.
Happy New Year, everybody. How are you, Maria? How's it going?
Well, I was going to say Feliz Ano Novo, isn't it?
Feliz Ano Novo. Right. How are you? This is our first podcast recording of the new year. I can't believe it's been almost a year since we've been doing this, right? Like April.
It's almost going on a year. It is. I'm really excited. And again, we're getting always such wonderful feedback from our podcasts of what we're doing. And I'm just glad we started it and that we're doing it. And we get to meet amazing, amazing people.
We do. Like what I'm going to start calling him as the Willy Wonka of malasadas. We have Steve Chaves with us today. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
How's everyone doing?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for being on with us.
No problem. It's my pleasure. I really appreciate you reaching out to me and including me in your podcast.
I know I've seen some of the pictures. I mean, obviously, I have to go to Toronto real soon. That's a whole other story. But, I mean, because the last time I was there, I don't think Malasada World was there. Now, tell us about Malasada World. I mean, this is
like a dream come true.
Well, everybody loves malasadas, right? So,
yes.
Right.
So Malasada World, we're located about an hour west of Toronto, down the 401. We're in Cambridge, Ontario. And I guess I can say that the way it came about is I'm a trained chef of 25 years or so, and classically French trained. I went into school in Toronto actually for it, and I apprenticed under some great chefs. And throughout my career, I've been, itching to open up my own little venture, my own concept. And I'd say now, probably going back a good 10 years, I started to dream up this concept of having the malasada as the forefront of a fast casual food concept. And I just recently noticed over the last few years a huge trend with the specialty donut concept shops coming around. And I said to myself, well, I think now's the time. Malasada is a beautiful, wonderful ethnic product that I'm very proud of. Huge part of the Portuguese culture, specifically the Azorian and Madeirense culture, and I thought let's give it a try. So we're working hard over here, trying to bring awareness of the malasada to the non-Portuguese community, and we've been very fortunate, and people are embracing us, both the Portuguese and non-Portuguese community.
So how long have you been there in Cambridge with Malasada World?
Malasada World's been in Cambridge since June the 11th. We actually opened up on Portugal Day weekend. Portugal Day, I believe, is June the 10th. So we opened up on the 11th during the Portugal Day celebrations we had in Cambridge.
And you have such a variety of different fillings and flavors. And what were some of the first ones you came up with? And then how have you come up with the recipes or the different varieties since then?
Yeah, so when I was dreaming up this concept, I noticed that there was a huge following of the malasada in Hawaii. And that led me to look at the malasada and to kind of expand on it a little bit more. So at our shop, I took my training and my skill set from my career, and we looked at the malasada and we said, okay, we're going to serve the traditional malasada that I grew up with. And even it's funny because every home has a little bit of a different twist on the malasada. So I basically kind of took my grandmother's recipe and some of my friends and family's grandmothers, and I developed kind of my own recipe for the traditional malasada. So we do the dough, it's hand stretched, and it's deep fried, and it's coated with cinnamon sugar. But then we saw in the Hawaiian market, they're not familiar with the hand stretched malasada.
Like
they do like a puff style, right?
Yeah, it's
and,
almost like more of a bowl of Berlin, right? Because
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we noticed that they were doing different fillings and stuff. So we decided to kind of honor a little bit of the Hawaiian traditions where they use tropical fruit. So we do a passion fruit filling, for example. I take a great passion fruit puree and I combine it with a pastry cream that we make in-house. And so that's one of our fillings. We do a dulce de leche filling in the Hawaiian style as well. And we do a chocolate hazelnut at the moment. And we're constantly looking at developing new flavors. But being open for just 7 months, we want to try to provide a consistent, familiar product for our people before we start to overwhelm them with a bunch of different flavors. And it's a small shop too, so our main focus is quality opposed to quantity, I would say. Although we do make thousands and thousands of malasadas week after week after week. And then I kind of came up with my own spin on what malasadas kind of are going to be moving forward. And we took the malasada as a vessel and we put different toppings on them now. Our
Fillings,
most, our most popular one, as far as the topping one goes, is we call it a donata. So it's based on the Portuguese custard tart that everybody loves, the pastel de nata.
I was going to ask about that, yes, because I saw the picture on your Facebook page. I'm like, that looks like it's a pastel de nata, but using the malasada as the cup.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what we do. So we took the pastry cream filling from the nata and we put it on top and we crust it with a little bit of caramelized sugar. So it has the same look and flavor profile as the pastel de nata.
Well, I just have to say that is genius, by the way, because that's amazing. Now, we're talking about how your grandmother's recipe, that you took that as well as other grandmother's recipe. Now, where is your family from?
So my family is from Santa Maria, and we have family in the Furnes area and also in Sant Spirit, Terras do Raposo to be specific.
Okay. And who immigrated over? Was it your grandparents or your parents?
Yeah, no, the first, in my specific immediate family, my godmother, the oldest sister, my dad's sister, immigrated first. And she actually immigrated to Vancouver. And shortly after, she came down this way to meet other family in the Toronto area and settled in Cambridge. I guess there was more familiar people down this way to them, so they came this way. And then my father followed. My grandparents actually came later on, but they came in and around 1970.
So you were born in Canada, or you were born?
I was born in Canada. I'm first generation Canadian. I was born in 73.
Oh, we don't need to know your age. No age.
It's okay.
Your ages. But I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if you were born there and came over, or started, or you were born here. I just want to know. So grandparents lived with you and around you, so you saw Vivon making her malasadas, your mom doing it, so forth and so on. And then what brought you to your trade of being the 25 years in culinary? Well,
yeah, I've always had a passion for food and for hospitality ever since I was young, and like I said, I've always had this around me. My family cooks really well. I've enjoyed the family gatherings and the parties, and it kind of just fit in with what I was all about. And so I decided to go to culinary school just shortly after high school. And I studied and learned with some pretty top chefs in the Toronto area and in my hometown of Cambridge and in Kitchener. And I just progressively went up the ladder in my career. I went out west. So in Canada, I'm from Southern Ontario, close to Toronto, like I mentioned before. But then I decided to go out west to Alberta and British Columbia. I lived and worked in Lake Louise. for 4 years. I was a sous chef at Chateau Lake Louise, and then came back to Ontario and worked down in the Niagara-on-the-Lake area. And I've just always had this passion for food and excelling in my career. And then I looked at doing this venture. And
what does your family think about this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not necessarily the traditional route to go, right? Usually most chefs would say, okay, I'm opening up a place. I'm going to open up a restaurant. You know, being from the Portuguese background, this area in Cambridge in particular lacks Portuguese restaurants, but I didn't feel like the area was necessarily ready for a Portuguese restaurant. And I thought to myself, I'm a little bit of, so I have the chef training and hospitality training, but I'm also an entrepreneur by spirit. And I really took a lot of time and focus to see what type of food business would work best in my community. And that's what led me to building this concept. And it's very hard for a restaurant to thrive. Profit margins
Yes,
are...
absolutely. It's a hard life.
It's a hard life. It's a hard career, but even still, like the restaurant business itself, as an owner, you know, you might have the best and most popular restaurant out there, but because of the dynamics and these high costs that are coming up in food and energy costs, it's nearly impossible to make some money. So I just thought to myself, I need to come up with a concept that's more focused, and you know, I'm taking a risk because it's a niche, but at the same time, there's nothing else like this around, which brings tons of potential for business.
I think you're opening that door. I mean, by doing that, where you're saying there isn't much of Portuguese restaurants or bakeries or maybe whatever that stuff around you, you're opening that door for people who are not aware of malasadas and what they are to just say, oh, this is fried dough. Oh, no. This is not fried dough. You know, and it's funny because before you were saying in taking different recipes from different people and all of that stuff, when I wanted to recreate malasadas that my mom would make, and my aunt had a completely different recipe than my mom had. My aunt in St. Michael had a completely different recipe than the one of my aunt here. There, they put a shot of moonshine in their recipe. So it's a type of thing where you are correct. Every family has a different twist. Some have lemon in it, some doesn't have lemon, some have orange zest in it, some don't. Some will not use cinnamon in their malasada, but that's just a sacrilege. I mean, my God, you don't put it's just sugar. But by introducing it to people who aren't Portuguese, that kind of goes, oh, okay, if they can do this, I'd like to try something else. Right. So I think it's a gateway. It really is it's a really neat gateway for people to be introduced to our food.
Even in Portugal, though, things are starting to become modernized, right? Like, yes, they have a lot of the traditional foods, but there are chefs over there and pastry chefs over there that are putting a twist on some of the traditional things. I mean, just this past October, we were in Portugal and there was a pastel de bacalhau filled with cheese. I'd never had that before, and that's certainly not traditional, but oh my gosh, was it good, And I think you have to evolve with the times in order to attract the broader audience, right? And you were right, Steve, about this whole kind of designer donut, and designer desserts and people getting creative with things. I think you're totally on the right track. And sometimes it's a matter of following your gut. And clearly your gut said, I'm going to go this way. Despite what people are telling me, I know that this is the way to go. And I think you're right on.
Yeah, I think it's important with these types of concepts where you're introducing a traditional item to a community that's not familiar with it, I think it's important to maintain the integrity of the original item.
Mm-hmm.
While,
and you have that on the menu, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. While, showing something new that can be done with it. I'm not like, it's a little bit like the, quality over quantity. I'm not about sensationalism with food. Like, these guys that build the biggest burger or the biggest hot dog or the biggest donut, and they can't,
Right.
they can't even stuff it in their face. And it's like, for me, that kind of stuff is not necessary. I like to embellish things, but I like to do it with, with quality, with style, with class, and maintaining the integrity of the product that I grew up with, and like many of us grew up with. Even, I'll give you an example, even the word malasada, I had a very, very big struggle, because I was like, okay, so what do I do? Do I use there's two spellings of malasada. The Portuguese spelling, the traditional way to spell it is with two S's, but, and I use the one with one S. And the reason why I did that is I needed to make the word a little bit more approachable to the North American. I didn't think that it was taking away from it. And at the same time, I think it was just making things more approachable.
Yeah.
Because malasada is actually two words put together as one. And that's why they kept the two S's. But in the English pronunciation, or the North American pronunciation, it just makes better sense to have the one S. Right. But I still stuck with malasada. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't call it, Tia Maria's fried dough, or I wanted to call it what it is.
Well, then there's also the word filhoge, right? But filhoge, you cannot, Americans can't pronounce it. I mean,
it's funny is that every time I'll post, let's say I'll post one of my aunt's recipe for malasadas, and someone will send me, well, that's not a malasada, that's a figu. I said, no, it's not a figu. And then someone else goes, oh, no, that's a beaver tail. A beaver tail? What the heck is that? And then there's someone else, it's a doughboy. It's not a doughboy. So people they come up with all of these different names, and it's just funny to hear people saying, well, that's what my mom would call it, or that's what my grandmother would call it. So that's what they call it. But it's just, I mean, the whole idea of it. And of course, now I'm thinking of different flavors for you, Steve. I'm sitting here going, oh my God, what could you do on there? Because I love a salty sweet. So
yes, for sure.
I would love, like the other day, or I should say around here, someone is, besides a donut, that's in Providence. That's the closest one, where they have like square donuts where they have different stuff on top, whatever. But around where I live, it's a woman who's doing cupcakes differently.
I see.
So it's like different takes on it. And the other day I had a cupcake with oh my God, it was bacon on top.
Oh God.
But the bacon was like almost like you put your almonds with sugar, like it was caramelized bacon. Like the bacon was oh my
like a candied
God.
Bacon almost.
It was amazing. And I had said to my husband, don't get it. But I'm like, don't get it. It's ridiculous. I'm not gonna have a cupcake with bacon on top. But we had it, and I had to go, oh my God, that is incredible. Because it was the salt that came out of it, the sweet, and the different texture, because you had the soft and then you had crunchy. It was just, it was incredible. So I'm thinking of one of those for the malasada.
We're always trying to dream up new ones, and we roll them out about every couple of weeks. We come up with a little bit of a different spin or a different flavor, right?
So, do you have contests with your customers to see who can come up with the new malasada?
We haven't yet. It's something that we've thought about to kind of increased awareness of the shop and stuff like that. So things like this are, slowly coming out of the woodwork, and we're definitely on board with the social media rage that's going on right now with Facebook and Instagram. It's awesome. It's doing really well for us, reaching out to our customers that way. And it's great to hear people's feedbacks as well.
I always love to ask this question, but I mean, obviously you said your mom and your family were also really good cooks. And is there like a dish that you just like love that you would want your mom to make for you? Like, what is your most favorite dish, Steve?
I think that my most favorite dish that I really enjoy, and it is specifically from my mother, would be braised cow's tongue.
Really?
And it's just a very, the preparation is actually very complex. But the flavors and the ingredients are very simple. The cooking method, the braising is one of my most favorite cooking methods. Low and slow, and just when you take a cut of meat like the tongue, that it just needs a lot of love and attention, and in the end, the result is just this amazing dish that brings me a lot of comfort, and I enjoy eating it. And it's something that throughout the years, as I've been, working, traveling, working out west, the times that I would come home, I've been away from the family for a while, that would always be on top of the table waiting for me. Just really, really good.
I mean, I've shared this before, but my favorite is liver. Liver was always mine.
That's a close one too for me. I love Easter's
Yes. Both my mom and my dad would make it for me. That was my favorite dish that they would make for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I had siblings that couldn't stand the smell or anything, so they could make it. And it would just be my mom, my dad, and myself eating it. So for me, that to me is like amazing. But I do remember them making the tongue also and braising it. But it would be tongue, heart. It would be like more than just the tongue. So it would be like their bits and pieces of all the rest of which, I really do blame my dad sometimes for not eating things, because he would scare me with it, and the tongue was one of them. He scared me with tentacles of octopus, where I'd go over and he'd put it like on me, and I would scream and I would want nothing to do with it. And then he did the same with the tongue, and it was like putting it in front of me, so I wouldn't want anything to do with it. It's kind of that's the thought I had in my head right now when you shared that story. Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah, incredible. What would you not want to ever have?
I was just gonna ask that. If you're into, beef tongue and liver, is there anything you won't eat?
It's funny. I watch some of these cooking traveling shows with Anthony Bourdain and stuff, and it's funny. I just watched a few this afternoon. Today we're closed at the shop. It's my only day off, so relaxing a little bit. And I've always been intrigued about this boiled egg that is like, it's like part embryo. I forget what it's called
Filipino,
now.
Yeah,
the Filipino egg, and they also eat it in Cambodia and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. that and squirmy bugs, those kinds of things, no, I won't eat.
I'm right there with you. Oh.
I don't blame you on that one.
It's a bit gross. But I'm sure that, there must be something to it, though, because people do enjoy eating it. So, but not for me.
Now, go ahead, Angela.
Go ahead, Maria. We're probably going to ask the same question, which is your question, but the food memory question.
Yeah. What is your...
first food memory.
First food memory?
Yes.
Oh, first food memory. That's a good one. I guess the biggest food memory that has an impact on me would have to be, I don't know if this counts or not, but it would have to be like a traditional pig kill that I participated in at my grandfather's house in Santa Maria. We were, I think I was something like 8 years old, and, we went for a visit to the Azores, to Santa Maria, and my grandfather had been raising this pig for us so that we can celebrate having the family all around. And we had a traditional pig feast, and and it brought a lot of, looking back, it brings a lot of, traditional family cultural feelings. And it also, I think at that point, it started to give me like the respect of what it is to eat an animal, and utilizing the whole animal and really respecting that, and just the traditions that went on that day, right? Like my grandfather was the one that did the deed, and my grandmothers were the one that was stirring the blood as it comes out for the sausage. And then when they took the animal apart and they take the intestines down to the river and they clean them out, and those are the intestines you use for the sausage. Like really, really, like down to the roots of what my family is all about and our culture living in those islands.
Yeah, it is truly a feast and celebration. I remember a few of them when I was young, but now going back, it has changed, and there are very few that still celebrate that and still have or still raise pigs for their own consumption and to do all that. But I remember all the ladies with the kerchiefs in their heads and sitting around and chopping all of the different spices and the meats, and then making the torresmos, frying up the torresmos brancos, and then after the lard that was used in making the bread with the, I mean, it's just, it goes on, and it really is a celebration. It's a,
For sure.
It truly is a celebration. It's also something you never forget hearing.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll never forget. But it was all done, it's all done ceremonial.
For sure.
And there is a ceremony to it, even though, when we're young, we don't see it, but there's a specific way to do it so that it's done with respect to that animal. And it's yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, are you still very close? Family is important to you, obviously.
Yes, it is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, today is actually my father's birthday. And
happy birthday to him.
Yeah, in a short little while, we're going to be going over and celebrating a little bit. So
now, one of the questions that also Angela and I love to ask, and that is, what it means to be Portuguese to you. What does that mean to you?
For me, being Portuguese, what it means to me is it gives me a sense of belonging. I'm born and raised in Canada. I'm a first-generation Canadian, but I also look at where I'm from, what my heritage is. And when I'm like super, super, super proud of the people that I come from. It's hard to believe, even I just look at my parents' generation and the struggles that they would have had gone through as young people. Many of them left on their own, like my parents left without their parents. And, they came, my mom was a teenager. My dad had just represented his country and was in Guinea in Ultramar, and he saw some crazy stuff over there in Africa, and still had the strength and the conviction to have a better life and immigrate to Canada. I just, it boggles my mind. I just think about these things, and I'm just super proud of that, for sure.
Well, the great thing on that is that we carry on their legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing what you do, you're continuing that story, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's when I was developing this concept, I needed it to have some other meaning to it. How was I going to do this? Integrate, who I am into my business venture. Like I said before, it's very important for me to maintain these traditions, and it makes me very happy to know that, that I'm part of it. I'm part of maintaining these traditions, growing it, keeping it strong. A lot of the people that traditionally make malasadas or made malasadas are, no longer with us. Our grandmothers, our great aunts, that in-home tradition is dying off, unfortunately. But if I can be part of maintaining that for people, it makes me very happy. We have these examples, show up at our shop all the time. We have our customers come in and say, we have some customers come in and say, "Oh my God, thank God you guys are making these, because I can't make these anymore at home. They take too much time. I just don't have time." Sometimes they don't turn out. But then I also have the people that are, it's amazing, but I do have people that are, they come into my shop and they get all teary-eyed and they express, their stories and their happiness that these traditions are being maintained. So I think we've hit a little bit of a nerve with my concept, because we're maintaining this tradition and we're moving it forward into the future, and we're creating new traditions. So we have, like my generation, I have friends that show up with their kids, and they're starting this tradition with their kids. I was even open on Christmas, even Christmas Day, to help people create new memories and traditions with this wonderful ethnic product.
Beautiful. That is just
Well,
beautiful.
and then on our side as the consumer, I really want people to listen to this because it's important. You're doing such great work, and so many other people who are doing restaurants and other bakeries. You're working so hard to keep those traditions alive and keep the food, right? And it's up to us to make sure we go and patronize your business. So, for example, I could easily go to Starbucks to get a coffee, but I choose to go to one of the only local Portuguese restaurant cafes in San Jose and get my coffee there, and I'll have a snack as well. Like, yes, I still go to Starbucks because there's one near my house and stuff like that, but we have to consciously make an effort, and hopefully it's not a hard effort. Hopefully it's something that you enjoy doing. But people, these places aren't going to survive if we don't go to them and we don't spend our money buying the malasadas and buying the pastéis and buying the coffee and buying whatever it is that they're selling. Because then when they don't exist, then we cry about, we don't have any Portuguese things here. And
here we go.
Come on, people.
That's right. And here we go.
I always say, it's you put your money where your mouth is.
Well,
exactly.
I love to say, when one succeeds, we all succeed, and that's
exactly.
You have to see it, because I see your success, Steve, as my success. What I want is for you to be successful, because that only shows and it just amplifies everything that we're all about, and that is hard work, that's love of family, that's love of who we are, it's that determination, that will that we have, and that's all of it, and that's all in that malasada. Does that make sense? I mean,
absolutely.
That's it, folks. I mean, in all that we do, whatever that is that we do, we just, this is who we are. This is who we are.
And introduce your friends to it. Take your coworkers to lunch over there, and maybe buy a dozen of malasadas and take them to work to share with your coworkers. And or if it's your turn to bring a dessert or a dish to a party, then go and buy a dozen of something Portuguese. You know what I mean? It's just like little things like that.
For sure, absolutely.
I think people need to be a little more conscious of. And I will say that I do see that more in our generations, of maybe the younger generations, which is great. I also appreciate and love the fact that people are going, and even if the called verde isn't their mother's recipe, they're still going to enjoy it. And it's still, matar a saudade a little bit, right? It kills that saudade that you're like, oh, I haven't had this in so long. It tastes so good, right? So it's there's a little bit of that old school purist that still exists in our community, and I get it. It's kind of like if you like pure fado, or if you're okay with Marisa, right? I think Marisa's phenomenal, and I'd still love to listen to her. And
absolutely.
The same thing with food. Yeah, I feel very strongly about this.
We've at the shop, we've been very fortunate because we do have that happen. We have. It's funny. We have the non-Portuguese guy that comes in and he's like, yeah, my neighbor, I have a few neighbors that are Portuguese and I'm just over here. They don't know that I'm here, but I'm over here because I want to buy whatever they like to eat. I need to buy it because I want to tell them that there's this shop here in town if they don't know about it yet.
That's cute.
And,
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, and then we have, which is awesome. And it makes me full of pride as well. Like we have the Portuguese clientele that comes in with the non-Portuguese friends that are showing off my place like as if it's their house, which is great. Right? Which is awesome. And it's funny because it is a very small community, but every once in a while I don't know a certain person and they'll come in and it's like we've known each other our whole lives and they're sharing my story and my product with their friends because they're just so proud of being Portuguese and sharing their culture, right? Yeah, no, it's been really, really, really great. In 7 short months, we've gained some pretty loyal clientele. On Sundays, we're in a small historical downtown core in Cambridge, and it's Monday to Friday traditional business. On Saturdays, there is a farmer's market, but it's typically Monday to Friday business. After 5 p.m., nothing happens down there. Sundays is a ghost town normally, except in the summertime, there are some festivals. But I guess what I'm getting at here is on Sundays, there really aren't many businesses open down there because there isn't that traffic flow and commerce going through. But on Sundays, we have amazing business. People have made it a destination. So because nothing like this exists around here, we get people driving an hour and an hour and a half. So we're in Cambridge and we get people coming from West London. We get people coming from Toronto. We get people coming from Brampton, Mississauga, Hamilton. It's been amazing. And everybody from a different town is saying, you should open up here, you should open up here, you should open up here.
Yeah. You should start shipping.
Yeah, exactly. We have had people from actually San Jose that asked us if we would ship our passion fruit donuts. So it's been interesting for sure. And we do have a great following, like on our Instagram account specifically. I think like 50% of our followers are from California and Hawaii.
Nice.
What is your name on Instagram so people know to follow you for those that aren't following you now?
Yeah. So we're the Instagram account is at Malasada World, and it's MALASADA World.
Yep. And just a quick comment on Hawaii. I don't know if any of you watch Hawaii Five-0 show.
They show up there every once in a while, don't they?
They do. They really do. And it's funny. There was like a 5-minute segment on the last episode that we watched where the guy was giving a lesson on how to dunk your malasada in the coffee and you don't double dip and all this kind of stuff. And it's just cool because clearly the malasada has become such a part of that culture, and like it's become a tourist destination, right?
Absolutely.
It's seen as Hawaiian, but then they get there and they read up on the history and it's Portuguese and stuff like that. But it's just very cool to see. So you've got the nod to Hawaii. Maybe you should start tagging Hawaii 5-0 in your malasada posts as well.
That's a good idea. That is a great idea.
Pineapple malasada.
Yeah. Sounds
Well,
good.
I just went onto your Instagram, and I'm just looking onto your picture right now, and there it is, folks. Apple crumble, passion fruit meringue. Oh my God, chocolate hazelnut. It looks divine, Steve. It looks divine.
Thank you very much. We work hard every day.
I feel like I need to plan a trip to Canada, like just to go there.
Yeah.
Everything else we do is bonus. We're gonna go.
You never know. We could always work out and arrange a way to do a Malasada World pop-up in California, and then we can't forget about Maria in Boston.
Let's
as well.
do it. I'm there to help you. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm right there with you.
We will figure it out. Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds
well, and of course, you have to productize your brand and everything. So there's a cookbook in the future of 101 different ways to make a malasada. Stuff
absolutely.
Like that. I like it. Maria and I can brainstorm for days on things you can do. We love to do that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. And at the end of the day, that's what we need. We, like you said before, we just unify and get together and help each other out, and spread the good news of our Portuguese cuisine, which I've always found to be very, very fascinating, and how it just reaches like all corners of the planet, because the Portuguese cuisine has been influenced by everyone, pretty much. I remember years ago, I was a big fan of Saveur magazine, cooking magazine, and they had an article, and it rings very true. And it was basically saying that Portuguese cuisine is the real fusion cuisine.
Yes.
And how we have so many different influences around the world, like Japanese, Indian, Chinese, you name it. Like, we are everywhere, and it shows in our food.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that, because that is absolutely spot on. We are the original fusion cooking. Absolutely.
And I think Maria, you've even said that before in one of our past podcasts.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's about time that it gets recognized more and more. Like, we're out there, but it's like it's not really recognized. I keep saying to my friends, every town's got an Italian restaurant, has a Chinese restaurant, has
exactly.
But how come we aren't more at the forefront as well, and as a common name, right? And honestly, that's what I'm trying to do. Malasada World is Malasada World, but it's the world of malasada. Like, I know that this brand has, and this concept has potential to showcase even more of the Portuguese cuisine. Right now it's a very small format, small shop. I'm limited in what I can do, but this concept can very well work itself into a small cafe, bistro, tashka kind of concept, where you introduce, traditional, simple, but great Portuguese food.
That would be great. And you know what? You're going to do it, Steve. I know you are.
We anticipate to do good things. And if we don't have that vision, you don't have anything.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is Angela and I are always saying that on, why aren't there more restaurants? Why aren't there more Portuguese this? Why aren't it? And we know because we know of history that we were the world's discoverers of all these different parts of the world. I mean, we just discovered so much. And instead of us being the discoverers now, it's almost like the world needs to rediscover us.
Yes.
It's like we were just this huge dynasty. We just were huge in what was part of Portugal. And it's almost like we became where people really don't know about us, or as many people should know about us. And it is.
Yeah,
I see that now. I see that the time has come for us to be rediscovered by everyone across the world. It really is.
Yeah.
I truly.
No, I agree with you, and I just wanted to mention to you, Maria, that I think you're doing a great thing, and also helping to showcase and expose our cuisine and our culture. I've had similar visions and goals. I've seen over here in Canada, we have this food celebrity. His name is David Rocco, and he does La Dolce Vita. And basically, you know, he travels to Italy and he films a cooking show and showcases it to the rest of the world. And I've often thought to myself, geez, how come nobody's done that in the Azores? How come I could be the David Rocco of the Azores? I can be the Steve Chaves. You know what I mean? And you know, I think that these days are coming, and it's just about getting connected, and you know, having the passion like we have, and executing it.
Yeah, it is happening. It is happening.
That's awesome.
And I'm real excited about it. And you know what? It'll be the start of many more, and that's what I want.
Perfect.
Just like there's plenty of Italian cooking shows or plenty of, Latin cooking shows, there should be plenty of Portuguese cooking shows. I want us all to succeed. I want us all to succeed. And I think if we all are in that same mindset of just pushing it, and we're stubborn people, we can push along. We're hard workers and stubborn. I mean, we can do this, folks. We can do this, and we will. We will. I have no doubt in my mind. We will. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But thank you so much for. This time has gone by very quickly.
Like they all do, right? We can, with every single one, we can be like, "Oh, wait, it's already been an hour. It's only been 15 minutes."
But it's like you ladies had mentioned earlier on. We're sitting around the table and we're chit chatting, and it could we could go on for days here, I'm sure.
But
especially if we had some of that Portuguese wine handy.
Yes, we should.
When one of us gets up to visit, whether it's Maria or myself, whoever gets there first, we'll have to do a live from Malasada World episode.
Yeah, that would be great.
God, that would be fantastic.
And then you could actually be sitting at a table, and it'd be cool if all three of us were there. Maybe we should coordinate that.
I think we should, Angela. I think we need
so. I think so.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great. We would love to have you down at our shop.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to be there, Steve.
Yep. Well, we're super proud of you, Steve, for everything that you've accomplished. I hope that people who are thinking about starting a business or thinking about starting a cafe or a restaurant or something kind of look to you and a lot of the other chefs and restaurateurs we've talked to and are inspired and encouraged and finally bite the bullet and say, yes, I'm going to do it, instead of just thinking about it, because you did it. I mean, that's the big difference, right, between folks like you and other people who are just thinking about it their whole lives. It's like you just do it. And it is a huge risk, but the payoffs and the rewards are so worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. 100%. I really agree with you, Angela. And I just wanted to thank you as well for your time today and for your encouragement and for being who you are in our Portuguese community. Yeah,
no, we are super proud of you, and
absolutely,
we'll be following you, and much continued success. And if anybody has suggestions on flavors, maybe an arroz dos filling could be one. I don't know. There's a million things you could do, but I'm actually with Maria on the bacon one. I'm right there with her on that one.
Yeah, now I'm thinking of the rouge douce. I like that one too.
There's tons of possibilities, but but congratulations, sure. Steve. We're super proud of you.
Yes, thank you again. Thank you, Steve, for taking the time, and wish your dad a happy birthday for us.
Thank you. I will do. Thanks a lot, Angela. Thank you, Maria. Appreciate this today.
Thank you. All right. Have a great day.
Bye,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Well, he's the nicest guy in the world. I'm so proud of what he's been able to pull together in such a short amount of time. And it's amazing. 7 months.
how amazing it is amazing in 7 months that he's making, or he is a success in his own right with malasadas.
Yeah. And what a great concept too, of like just taking the simple malasada and just blowing it out into so many different, you know what I mean? I mean, we've seen like some variations on the pastel de nata where people are starting to do like chocolate or even like a pumpkin flavor, which is very cool. But man, he's really taken it to another level.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait to go up to, I know that this year I'll be going to Canada. So I'm going to have to make sure that I make my way up there to actually be there and try it out, because those pictures look amazing.
Well, if you need someone to carry your bags, you let me know.
I think we need to do a road trip, Angela. I really think
I think that could be pretty awesome.
I think we could figure that out.
Let's do that. Look, offline. We won't bore our listeners with the plan, but I think that sounds like an amazing idea.
Yes, it is. Well, thanks everyone for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as Angela and I have in learning about another amazing success story. I mean, it's the first one of the year, and we've got lots in store and lots planned, and it's going to be a great year. It's going to be
an awesome year. Yeah. And if you haven't subscribed, people, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Come on, you know you like listening to us. We make you laugh. We make you cry. Come on. So,
all the above.
I know.
All right, honey.
Well, até a
próxima, querida.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thanks again for listening to our Portuguese Table podcast.
If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so on SoundCloud or iTunes.
And all episodes can be found on our website at www.ourportuguesetable.com.
You can also reach us at feedback@ourportuguesetable.com with comments, questions, or suggestions.
Até a próxima!